How's it going, guys? This is Ketchup Mustard here, once again bringing you not necessarily the final predictions video for ESL, but definitely the last one for Europe. North America has 1 week left. CIS has actually finished theirs, so the two CIS players going to the Season 2 finals will be Harry Nightmare and Sacron, so that's all sorted out. And we have 1 more week to decide basically who's going to be the 6 players that will be going to the Season 2 finals for EU, and we have 2 weeks left for America, including this coming week. So it's still up in the air. I mean, it's still a bit of a battleground there's a couple of guys fighting over those remaining spots. But yeah, first things first, before we get into it, there's a little bit of a humming on the microphone. That's basically because the microphone is currently sitting above the computer, and the humming you can hear is basically just the PC. We can't really do anything about that yet. We need to elevate the microphone, but yeah, basically there's nothing we can do there, so sorry about that. Either way, going into Europe, we have Game 1. I'll let you talk about this one, Jake.
I actually think before we predict the matches themselves, I want to sort of go into like a little bit first about what this week means. There are 4 players currently 100% confirmed for the Season 2 finals, as I've said before, but just to remind you guys, it's Foxy Grandpa, Zarakamaka, Madson and Storm are 4 100% guaranteed qualifiers for EU. They have no way of being knocked off. They have the most points. Regardless how this last week goes, they are safe. Spot 5 and 6 are currently occupied by Taco and Undead Jim, and they can still make it. Even though neither of them made top 8 this week, they can still, under certain circumstances, make the finals as number 5 and 6. Now, the way this can happen is if Costas and Harris beats Foxy Grandpa and makes it to 4th, he's going to have more points than Undead Jim and snatch up the 6th spot. So for Costas and Harris, this set is grand finals. This is everything he's worked for up until this league. This will be the first time if he wins this will be the first time he's managed to make it past top 8. But this is the 1 week he needs to. If Costas and Harris can beat Foxy Grandpa here, he will take Undead Jim's 6th spot. If he loses, Undead Jim is safer. However, the only other thing that could knock off Undead Jim is if Used for Glue, who's also in the top 8, if he makes 2nd place this week, he will knock off Undead Jim. If Used for Glue makes grand finals from the bottom side of the bracket, and Costas and Harris makes grand finals from the top side of the bracket, they will get spot 5 and 6. So for Used for Glue and Costas and Harris, it's all about get 2nd. For Costas, it's 4th, but if he wants to 100% guarantee, he's got to get 4th and 2nd if he can. So it's all about these 2 guys. It's a very important week, really, really, really important week, and it's kind of, what a fitting way of ending it. On the 8th week, there are still 2 spots up in the air, and right until the very end, it's going to be uncertain. So, realistically, I do think Foxy will take it over Costas and Harris. We've seen Costas and Harris has issues dealing with extreme rushdown, and Foxy you don't get more aggressive than Foxy. I mean, the reality is when he's on you, he can smother you really, really quickly. Everyone's seen that already. And we've seen how Costas handles that kind of pressure. He doesn't really handle it too great from what we see. So it's kind of funny how he has to win this set to go to LA, but I think he has to fight quite possibly the toughest opponent he has ever fought to do it. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be a hard set for him, but he needs to do it. But I do personally think Foxy just has a higher chance of winning the set, and that's it, really. Yeah, it's the same for me, really. I mean, realistically, I don't see Foxy losing it, but, it's like we said before about Perfect Legend. If he wants to make the finals a few weeks back, he had to win that week. He went on to win that week, because we know Perfect Legend was capable of pulling it out and really bringing his A game when it truly matters. Costas, we have to see that from him this week, or it's all for nothing. So really, really, this is going to be really tense. Right from the off, it'll be the first game we'll do, and that's going to be crazy. Costas needs to win, but realistically, I do kind of see Foxy taking it, but we're going to see. The next match of top 8 brings us to 80 Nindo versus Storm. Now, this is going to be quite an interesting one, because this one as such won't really make much of a difference to the league itself. This is just going to be a really cool one to watch. They're playing for the money as well. Let's not forget there's still $1,000 to be won every week. But from what we've seen of Nindo, he plays Quan Chi, but I've actually seen this guy play Sorcerer and Summoner, but his Sorcerer seemed really good. Like, actually seeing someone use
he knew what he was doing. Like, I've seen Nindo play in the past, and when he's used Sorcerer Quan Chi, he's actually played the character correctly. He has actually done, the proper conversions. He's gone for armor when necessary, and he hexes when he sees that, the hex damage will kill. So it's all marks of a good Sorcerer player. So whether he uses Summoner or Sorcerer, I don't know. The match-off footage we saw was about a couple of months old, so he very well could have changed since then. Either way, I'm assuming he still plays Quan. He has actually beat Taco to get into top 8.
And Mr. Aquari.
Yeah, and Mr. Aquari first round. So basically, Storm has had mixed results against Quan Chi, really. I think he's studied the matchup. I've played with him quite a bit, so I think he might be a bit more versed there. So if Nindo actually does pull out a Sorcerer Quan, it's not like Storm's going to be, you know, completely in the dark. He's actually going to know the matchup. So we'll have to wait and see. Storm, I think, to be honest, depending on how this goes, I think Shiroryu Takeda does really well online against Quan Chi when you knock him on the ground. Basically, if Quan Chi's on the floor and you've got meter, you're in big trouble. Like, it's almost like you're guaranteed to take big damage because he knocks you on the floor into hard knockdown, meter burn kunai, and you have nothing to get out of it. Like, you just have to try and block correctly, which against Takeda, when he starts implementing overheads and then the lows and then overhead, low, overhead, all that kind of stuff, it's very tricky to deal with. So I think if Storm plays the matchup properly, I think he could beat Nindo, personally. But, you know, if Nindo plays a really strong Sorcerer, that's not a particularly fun matchup for Takeda when you put him in the corner. He is free to that. Like, the second you put Shiroryu Takeda in the corner, he's not getting out if you do it properly.
Well, I think in terms of consistency, my vote is going to go to Storm here. Also, you know, that would mean we'll get a really interesting semi-final, which would be really cool. But at the same time, you know, Nindo, no slouch, does seem to understand Quan Chi to a really good degree. Had a difficult path to get here, you know, took out Taco for the fight for top 8, so definitely could win this, I think, if he plays well. But it's hard to judge because I've never seen these guys play each other before. I assume they have at some point. But regardless, my vote is going to go to Storm, mainly just for... I guess you could just say a safe pick.
But if Nindo pulls out pulls out a really cool Sorcerer, then I'll just be happy for that. Like, I've always wanted to see some awesome Sorcerer play in ESL, and we are yet to see that. So who knows?
Hey, this could be the week.
Game 3, Madson and Use for Glue. So Use for Glue, he had to actually beat Undead Jim to get into top 8. So and he's still playing Melina, I believe. He does still use Melina. Madson, obviously, Madson's going to be Madson. He's going to use either Sub-Zero or Blood God. Now, I've actually not really seen Madson fight Melina that much. Use for Glue really seems to have found his way with Melina. I say that about a lot of characters, but with Melina, it does actually very much seem like he's found his comfort zone in this character. So, you know, these guys are training partners. They've played together a bunch anyway. Use for Glue versus Madson. Realistically, I think Madson has less to play for and therefore will be more comfortable and is not as prone to get nervous. Use for Glue has to win this, so I think if Use for Glue is going to pull out a win now, like, this is the time he has to do it. So we've seen him choke before, unfortunately. We have actually seen Use for Glue choke in situations which are less strenuous, I guess. I just hope he can keep it together because he has got a fantastic Melina. I really do think so. So, you know, it's hard to call this one. I'm going to be biased and say I want Use for Glue to win this, just because, you know, he has to get grand finals, otherwise he's not going to LA, and it's as simple as that.
I think if Use for Glue can get past Madson, he can get second, because waiting for him in semi-finals is going to be Zarakamaka or Good Dragon, and we'll get to that in a bit. But Use for Glue is undeniably playing for more than anyone else this week. He has, without a doubt, the hardest time.
This is a gauntlet as well. Zarakamaka and Madson.
He has to make second place, and to do that, he's got to beat Madson and either Good Dragon or Zarakamaka. I mean, quickly about that, I do think Zarakamaka is going to take it purely because I know they play all the time, and even in casuals and ESL before, Zarakamaka has 9 times out of 10 come out with the win. Usually quite comfortably without, you know, very little. I guess, you know,
I just see Zarakamaka beat Good Dragon a ton more. It's as simple as that, really.
But yeah, that's a Good Dragon's a great player. He managed to take out K-Top, JTB, and Mitsuones to get here. So Good Dragon actually did have a pretty tough path getting to top 8. So he's clearly playing well and can do well. But the same thing, if Good Dragon can beat Zarakamaka, I'm confident he could beat almost anyone this week as well. But back to the Madson Use for Glue match. Use for Glue has to beat Madson, and then Good Dragon, who's playing out of his mind to get this far, or Zarakamaka, who is, you know, again, another confirmed player. So what a fitting gauntlet. Like, in order to just even be in the Season 2 finals, Use for Glue has to beat 2 of the best international players, without a doubt. He has to do that.
Crazy. So that's going to be the final week for Europe. All that time, and we're up to this moment now, and it's the final week. Moving on, North America. Our first game is actually going to be Sonic Fox and Slayer. Sonic Fox had to get through Acid, Tweedy, Celeb, Mr. Mike. So again, some of the names, I'm not really familiar with them, but, you know,
he's the number 1 seed. So
Tweedy did defeat Forever King. So, you know, yeah, we can't.
Tweedy's a quite consistent player for the NA Pro League, really. He does quite well.
Indeed. Slayer had to beat Michelangelo and Beyond Toxin, so, you know, he had a good path as well. Good stuff there. So, and Beyond Toxin obviously took out Corey the Dragon, who was another player that we've seen a couple of times as well, who'd be playing to win as well. So yeah, Sonic Fox and Slayer, these guys have fought before. Slayer has beat Sonic Fox in tournament. Sonic Fox has more recently beat Slayer in tournament. Slayer did actually reset the bracket at NEC though, so they have what it takes to beat each other. But like I said, we say this all the time whenever Sonic Fox handles or has to take on a seasoned offline player. Online is, you know, it's no face to him. Online play does not affect Sonic Fox, so I think the safe bet is going to say that I think Sonic Fox will take it over Slayer, purely because Sonic Fox is just way more comfortable online, and it's as simple as that. But, you know, it was a good play for both of them. It's going to be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. Next match, we have DSV Black versus Pig of the Hut. Now, Black had to take out Killstreak and Perfect Legend to get here.
That's quite a tough path. I mean, Pig of the Hut, I'm not sure.
Tough path. Pig of the Hut.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have been following Pig of the Hut's latest adventures on his Twitter, but in order to play this week,
you know what?
He kind of had to do it in.
I'm going to go completely. I'm going to go completely unprofessional right here, and actually bring up the setup that Pig of the Hut actually played to get here. So let's go Pig of the Hut. Let's find him on Twitter. Where is he? Oh, yeah, he's Brant, isn't he? That's his. There he is. That's Pig of the Hut. Excuse the earthquake typing, but look, guys, this is his setup. Where is it? Where is it? I'll find it.
We'll make it through the memes.
Look,
there we go.
This was what he played on to get to top 8.
He played in
a portable setup
in an alleyway.
In an alleyway next to a dumpster,
fighting off the rats and the spiders.
Like this, he played on this to get here. Like, look at it. That's a setup.
Do you reckon that's where he sat?
Maybe he sat on. Yeah, do you reckon he sat on a cardboard box? But my point is, this was Pig of the Hut's path to get into top 8.
He made it.
He got top 8. He beat Gamer Blake. He beat Scar. Like, he played so well in those conditions.
I want Pig of the Hut to win this week on that alone. Like, to be completely honest, like, it's going to be really.
Just prediction wise, Pig of the Hut's winning that. He won in that setup. I want Pig of the Hut to win. Simple as that. All right, moving on to our next match.
No.
CR versus CR. Wound Cowboy versus Biohazard.
This is going to be sick. This is going to be really exciting.
I don't really watch Ferrator versus Shinnok.
It's going to be Shinnok versus Ferrator. I mean, I don't really know how to call it. It's not really a matchup I ever used to play. Due to just not really having access to a Ferrator, let alone the world's best Ferrator. But still, I mean, I expect it to be really exciting, really explosive. I know the CR guys do practice. I mean, I don't know how much Honeybee and Biohazard play online against their teammates. I know Wound Cowboy plays a lot of online with, you know, with Sonic Fox and with White Boy. I assume it is the same with Biohazard and Honeybee. If that's the case, I assume we're going to see just a really decent set here of just two people that play together a lot. I don't know how to call it. On matchup, I would say Shinnok will have the edge here, but if there's one person that will be ready for Wound, it's probably going to be one of his teammates. I'm going to say my prediction's going to go to Wound Cowboy, but I would like to see Biohazard win purely because I want to see Biohazard make Season 2 finals, because I want Ferrator to be at the World Finals. And if he can beat Wound Cowboy, he could take out anyone this week's top 8. I mean, the top 8s, especially for NA, are getting really packed now, like really just full of decent tournament players. And here he is, he's got to take out Wound Cowboy, one of the top seeds from the get-go. So if he can beat Wound Cowboy, he can make it far.
Okay, so this is actually, I think this is our final match. We have God of Destruction. I think he's been here before versus Showtime. Showtime seems to have been kind of like forever 9th when it comes to ESL, so he's finally been able to get the top 8. So I'm looking forward to him. I do believe Showtime plays Kano, doesn't he? He plays a little bit of Kano.
I think
he plays another character too.
Kano, I think Sonya, but I don't know. I know definitely Kano. I think it's Cybernetic. But I want to say Sonya, but I might be getting him confused with someone else that is also in a similar position that gets 9th a lot. But I know definitely Kano, so I expect we'll see Kano, especially if it's going to be in the Kotal Khan.
I've heard that God of Destruction plays Blood God Kotal. Now, I've heard he plays many different characters, Goro being one as well, I think, as well. But if he pulls out Blood God Kotal Khan, that's going to be quite interesting as well, because we don't really see Blood God outside of Madson. So to see it in North America would be very, very exciting to me. But to be honest, Showtime, Kano, let's say it's Kano versus Kotal Khan, what do you reckon?
I think if it's Cybernetic Blood God, I really don't see Cybernetic having much of an edge at all in that match, purely because
damage totem, damage mitigation, that's it.
It's damage mitigation, and Cybernetic doesn't really do a lot of it. Like, Cybernetic hasn't got terrible damage, but it's definitely not, out of this world damage, and its projectiles are not going to phase him at all. Like, you're literally just going to be giving Blood God free meter by trying to zone him when you're Cybernetic.
If you're trying to throw knives at Blood God when he's sitting in a sun ray and damage mitigation, like, they do so little damage anyway, you may as well not bother. Like, 5% projectiles, but when you mitigate all your damage, you'll be taking like maybe 2%.
No, that's going to start tickling, especially if he's got access to Sunray. I mean, again, if we're going by the best of the best, I mean, you cannot zone a good Blood God if you haven't got some
he's
kind
unzonable.
Of,
like he's an
some
unzonable
kind
character.
of ridiculously amazing projectile, which Cybernetics is good, but I think just because the damage it deals is not going to cut it against keeping Kotal Khan out. I mean, I don't think Kano's going to. I don't think it's unwinnable, but I do think it's going to be really hard to, especially if Blood God is playing perfectly. You are literally going to be chipping away at a brick wall from start to finish, unless you can really open him up and he's not blocking low correctly, or you're catching him in frame traps. Because let's remember, Blood God doesn't have the armor, so your plus frames, you'll get a lot more out of them than you would maybe other characters. But at the same time, if he's got that damage reduction totem up, you are going to be chipping away non-stop, and you're just going to have to not let him start healing. Because if you can finally chip him down to some substantial health, and he gets that Sunray up, and he just heals it all back up, you're back at square one.
Okay, so that's that. I think prediction-wise, I think Showtime can win, but he's got to play the matchup.
I think Showtime is more experienced, but
God of Destruction
I think he'll be quite a tough
if he
matchup
plays
for
Blood
him.
God, he could easily, pull out. If you're not going to be ready for Blood God, he can really cause you some trouble because you don't expect him to be as good as he is, if you know what I mean. Especially when you're playing a character that's going to have a strong full screen game. Doesn't matter versus Blood God. So God of Destruction actually could win this if he plays the matchup properly. But at the same time, Showtime,
Very experienced, very good player.
and he might not even play Kano, so
Yeah,
who knows.
Exactly.
That's going to be that, guys. We have one more of these prediction videos left for next week for North America, and then that's it. We have the Season 2 finals. Pretty much, I mean, straight after that, almost. We haven't got long left, 24th of January. So
Under 3 weeks. I mean, this time tomorrow we'll be in Poland again, and we're going to be flying out there in the afternoon. So we'll be back in Poland doing our thing Wednesday, and then flying back Thursday. But then we're done. It's going to be a wait for us until the Season 2 finals, but we're really excited for it. Looking forward to seeing some of you guys there. Remember, you can buy your tickets to attend it in person. So
if you are in California, be at the Season 2 finals. We want to meet you, we want to talk about the game, and we want you to enjoy some good games. Simple as that.
To be fair, you're going to be watching the best players in the world play MKX for a ridiculous amount of money. So if you're in California and you could be in LA for the day, just turn up, guys. We want to meet you. We want to see what it's all about.
Okay, cool. So, thank you very much, guys. We'll catch you next time, and we'll see you soon. Take care.